So today we kick off Codesfest with Day Naught, and it's appropriately done on Spring Day, when we hope that the green shoots and ideas that come through from across the group will feed into some prototypes and solutions that we'll be building in a month's time when we get over 250 developers together for a 48-hour coding marathon with lots of prizes, lots of coffee, lots of fun, all happening in the first week of October. But today really is all about trying to understand what are those business problems out there. What is it that the innovators and the architects and the business leaders across FirstRand Group are grappling with on a daily basis that they feel technology and innovation and possibly some of those fintech, the new hyped up topics that are coming into the industry at the moment could possibly play a role in. So just in terms of the rest of Codesfest, we've already been running for the last 3 months a series of masterclasses. These are learning sprints where guys get into a room for 3 hours, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, a white belt, green belt, black belt type of approach, just an hour at lunchtime, no impact on their day, but giving them the opportunity to learn about these great new technologies that are coming through the industry and that potentially could be solving some of the problems that we'll be hearing about today. The other big aspect that we added on to Codesfest from last year was this idea of sharing cool stuff. And we really believe that there is a lot of cool stuff across the FirstRand Group. So this year, inside Codesfest, in the same venue where our 250 ninja developers will be working hard to solve these business problems, on the one side of the room, we will have 10 exhibition stands. And we've invited, it'll be hosted by innovators, we've invited people from across FirstRand Group to come in and share their cool stuff. And anybody else that's interested to come and see all these great topics will be able to book a slot to come through and walk around those stands for a couple of hours. And while they're looking at those stands, the interesting synergy will be that in the same room, at the same time, there'll be these ninjas solving today's problems. And we believe that the cross-pollination of ideas and awareness and synergies that you get from putting effectively two events in the same room at the same time will be quite significant. So if I just cast my eye over the list of topics that we've got on the agenda for today, you know, we've got everything from our branch banking environment through to our customer analytics department. We've got people trying to improve the way we handle cash in the bank. We've got presentations on blockchain, and I think we've given them extra time because that's just such a scary topic for lots of people, but we've got some incredibly bright people that are looking at this and will be able to come through and just break it down for us. And you know, today is not really about solving the problems, it's just about putting the topics out there and creating some thought leadership around each of the different domains, each of the different areas that you know, they've got something to offer and that have got something that they need from the rest of the bank. And so today, I guess you could call this about matching those people up. You know, it's about matching and almost sort of a speed dating type of approach where we have a quick problem statement and then maybe a quick resolution possibility that could come through after that. And we're very excited that we've got lots of social media awareness and PR that we've been doing around Codesfest. It's crucial that in the industry, FNB maintains its strong brand promise of both helpfulness, but then innovation in the way that we deliver that helpfulness to our customers. And together with that, Codesfest is really about embracing and showcasing the technical craftsmanship. We have about 4,000 IT professionals that work incredibly hard to keep the bank running every single day, and that's across all the franchises, Ashburton, RMB, Westbank, and FNB. And so to the industry, if they can see that we're doing these kinds of things, hackathons have been around for a while. You may not know this, but the like button in Facebook was actually developed and prototyped at one of Facebook's internal hackathons. Google actually pioneered this idea of letting developers just do their own thing, and they actually made that possible for 20% of their working time. Every single Friday, Google's developers were allowed to go and work on any cool stuff that they thought would be useful. And you know that they got their Maps search feature out of that time. They got a lot of Gmail enhancements coming out of that time. And so we're fairly bullish that this will be the third Codesfest, and that as we keep running these on a yearly basis, one big Codesfest in October at the end of each year, we feel that it will start to create a real catalyst for getting the next wave of cool ideas, cool stuff, and awesome market leading innovations out into the business. So we've had a team working in the background on setting Codefest up. There's quite a lot of effort that goes into it. We've even got an app. So anybody that comes into any of the sessions, and we've got Day Naught happening today. We've actually got a big DevOps conference that we're running on the 29th of September, the week before Codefest. And then we've got the actual Codefest build event. And we've got, as I said, that exhibition, which we've called XFest. Now, everybody that comes into any of those events will automatically go on to our custom developed app, and they'll be able to see all the details about the agenda. If there's a formal process for what's going to be happening, they'll be able to see information about the stands in XFest that they maybe want to be going to look at. They'll be able to see information about the prototypes that are being built by the teams, and they can go on and they can make comments, and they can, like it, they can, rate it out of 5 stars, and all of that information is then fed in and displayed on screens. And especially when we vote and we judge on the prototypes at Codefest, we'll use that data to ascertain how well each of those prototypes have done. And I guess what that's doing is starting to bring this idea of crowdsourcing and democratization effectively of the great ideas and the ability to deliver on those ideas, and the idea that it is never one single area or one single team or one single platform or system that's actually got all the value. The way the world is moving today is in this concept of bringing together ideas and solutions and allowing teams to self-organize and to bring the best out of each of the components, if you like, of those solutions. So Codefest is about ideation, it's about innovation, it's about fintech, it's about self-organization. And if you talk about self-organization, you look at the way that the world is moving in terms of agile and software development that is done in much more of a collaborative, parallel fashion, rather than big sequential steps. And Codefest is a huge accelerator for those types of principles. And it's quite interesting because when you put developers into a room, like we do at Codefest, and there's a intense, collaborative, competitive spirit, you'll find that these agile principles emerge almost naturally. And it's something that was remarked on quite strongly at last year's Codefest, that it would be great if we can take those principles back into the office, if we can get business and IT together, and if we can reduce any of the red tape and the unnecessary processes and speed up the delivery of these projects and the innovation and embracing of some of the new topics into the way that we're doing our business. And that's not to say it's not happening already. There is a lot of fantastic innovative work done across FirstRand Group, which the market and our customers continually recognize us for. Codefest just adds a small lever, a small catalyst, a small boost into the life of our developers and people across the group that are trying to solve these big problems. Interesting other point to make is that since we ran the 2 Codefests last year, we've actually had lots of little Codefests springing up all over the place. And people have looked at this model and they said, well, you can run it at scale, as we do for the whole of the group, and you can run it in different teams and different projects. And we've had about 3 or 4, I think, franchise Codefests spring up all over the place, which has been hugely encouraging, that people have looked at this model and said, well, we can apply that in the way that we work in our projects. And that's brilliant because it's getting the message out there. It's getting this idea of more intense collaboration, more intense and a huge commitment to co-location in projects and teams, and getting the thinkers and the enablers to sit together and work together, and not just to meet together, but to actually get their laptops side by side and work through these problems on an iterative basis. Because you find that the business guys who own the outcomes that they want and the IT guys that own the enablers to solving those problems actually can't fully describe the end product until they sit together and understand incrementally and iteratively what it is that each of them are talking about. And it almost comes down to the level of that user experience of the software that will be consumed either by our internal people or by our customers. And so once the business people can see how we're able to develop that software in terms of the user experience, then they're able to guide us with a lot more detail. And they will then say, well, put that button over there, or move that down there, or can you turn that around, or can you put this on a different screen, etc. And so you get this idea of co-creating that end product. And we believe quite strongly that it's not something that an analyst could ever sit down and write to the nth level of detail and then hand it over to somebody to build it. And in fact, if you try and do that, you actually possibly lose the real power that you'd get out of collaborating and out of the business person learning from what's possible. And I think, hopefully today we get a sense of the art of the possible, the art of trying new things and experimenting and then failing fast and learning from that failure and being willing to embrace the failure and say, well, that didn't work, let's scrap it. But we learned so much in that process that we can now apply to our new direction. And if you look at the exponential firms across the world, if you look at the democratization of information, the Ubers and the Airbnbs, they've been through lots of detours in their business models. Instagram nearly shut down. Waze, any of these household names, these apps that we all have on our phones and that we use on a daily basis, they were not afraid to fail fast. And you'll find this agile principle at the core of the way they work. And what's interesting is that because they've opened their doors in a time of agile and in a time of collaboration and in a time of sort of entrepreneurial experimentation with fintech, they've embraced it from day one. And what you find in the larger organizations that have been around a lot longer, you have to actively evangelize those topics. You have to actively change hearts and minds around those topics and work incrementally. And I firmly believe that these things are never revolutionary, they're evolutionary, and we need to be building all of these topics into the way that we work, not setting up something that is separate from the core of the organization. And fortunately, here in the First Rand Group, we have a wonderful entrepreneurial owner-manager culture, which was embedded in the way that we think and the way that we do business by our original founders. And I think, it's one of the reasons that we're able to do something like we are today. We're able to set up Codesfest because we own, each of our businesses, and we own the ways that we solve those problems and improve the lives of our customers. And so Codesfest is all about being the entrepreneur, but doing it together. And so we're very excited that we've got 150 of those entrepreneurs from across the group coming in today, and I'm sure that the rest of this video will give you a good sense of everything else that happened in FNB Codesfest 2016.